The first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency were the worst in the history of America, and it's not even close. Every conceivable metric will show you that that is the truth. Donald Trump has the worst approval rating of any president in their first 100 days, the worst stock market performance. We're seeing a recession come on as GDP growth has slowed to a negative number, and Donald Trump has been hit with more losses in court and more injunctions than any president in history, not because the DOJ is weaponized against him, but because he is breaking the law. It couldn't be clearer that Donald Trump's presidency has been an absolute disaster, and it is only getting worse as public sentiment continues to shift against him. And with that public sentiment shifting against him comes the fear of what will happen in 2026, which only got worse for Donald Trump recently when he was hit with a legal bombshell that has him freaking out in a tantrum we saw last night, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we are able to get into this legal bombshell and why it made Donald Trump freak out on stage last night, I want to start with this clip from Senator Jon Ossoff's rally in Georgia.
Why are there no calls for impeachment? This is unacceptable. I will not live in an authoritative country, and neither will any of these people. You can do more. Think outside the box. He needs to be impeached. I will not live like this. My dad is retired full-bird Army colonel. My parents are healthcare. I have a son with autism. I have kids that attend Title I school. Do you think that there's nothing can be done? No. Do something more. I like you, and I will vote for you if you are brave and you do what we need. We need him impeached. We need him removed.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. There is no doubt that this president's conduct has already exceeded any prior standard for impeachment by the United States House of Representatives. I mean, I saw just 48 hours ago, he is granting audiences to people who buy his meme coin. Did you guys see this? So it is, in our corrupt political system, it is a standard practice, tragically, for elected officials to grant audiences and time to people in exchange for campaign contributions. He is granting audiences to people who purchase the meme coin that directly enriches him. So, where is everybody who was so furious about Hunter Biden's paintings? Which, by the way, I do not defend. When the sitting president of the United States is selling access for what are effectively payments directly to him, there is no question that that rises to the level of an impeachable offense. And the reality is that that's just one of many.
I wanted to start with that clip not only because it perfectly leads into the topic of impeachment that we are going to be covering, but because Senator Ossoff's response, I think, is so spot on. And the desire for a real fight from Democrats is so justified from that supporter in the crowd. We need to see Democrats use every tool in the toolbox to fight back against this administration. We have seen trips to El Salvador. We have seen shadow hearings. We need to make sure we're fighting back in every way possible. And that is exactly what we are seeing with the first articles of impeachment being filed against Donald Trump. We're going to check that out and then see what his response was. Trump faces first impeachment effort of his second term. A Democratic congressman has launched the first impeachment effort of Donald Trump's second term. Michigan Rep. Sri Tanader introduced 7 articles of impeachment against Trump on Monday, though the effort is unlikely to succeed given that Republicans control both chambers of Congress. The articles accuse Trump of obstruction of justice, abuse of executive power, usurpation of appropriation power, abuse of trade power, international aggression, First Amendment violations, creation of an unlawful office, bribery and corruption, and tyrannical overreach. The House resolution seeks to hold Trump accountable for his chaotic tariff rollout, the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, and mass deportations, among other infractions. Donald Trump has repeatedly demonstrated that he is unfit to serve as president and represents a clear and present danger to our nation's constitution and our democracy, the congressman said in a statement. His unlawful actions have subverted the judicial system, violated the separation of powers, and placed personal power and self-interest above public service. We cannot wait for more damage to be done. Congress must act. So obviously, Donald Trump was very calm, cool, and collected, responding to these articles of impeachment in Michigan. No, of course, I'm lying. Donald Trump completely freaked out, and he threw a tantrum, as is always expected from the petulant child in chief. And this is exactly what he had to say in his insane speech last night.
Tax increase in history instead of the greatest tax cut in history. If the Democrats prevail on this bill, you get a 58% tax increase. Would you like that? These are the Democrats. But I've never seen all the years they campaign, we will raise your taxes. I say, this country has gone crazy. And today they did it again. Some guy that I'd never heard of. John James, is he a congressman, this guy? He said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to start the impeachment of Donald Trump. What the hell did I do? Here we go again. They want to impeach me. This lunatic used up. Actually, I had the television way down, and I said to our great First Lady, listen, did I just hear I was being impeached again? We're getting good at this, though. No, they've gone totally crazy. These people, and you know what? They've totally lost their confidence.
Donald Trump always talks about how he defeated his impeachments. He came out victorious, how the Democrats couldn't get him while they tried. But he forgets that he was, in fact, impeached. He may not have been convicted because of Mitch McConnell and spineless Republicans in the Senate, but you were impeached. That did happen. You have broken the law again and again and again. You know, it reminds me of Carolyn Leavitt's defense of Donald Trump, saying, this is the president who's been hit with the most injunctions in history, clearly. Oh, they're going after him. Oh. Or he's breaking the law the most. Did we ever maybe decide that we would consider that, factor that in to all of us? No. The man is deporting U.S. citizens, and you think it's the judicial system that's angry at Donald Trump, not Donald Trump trying to subvert the judicial system? Yeah, there's the cognitive dissonance. And it was all called out by Rachel Maddow right here.
And we keep seeing U.S. citizens turn up in stories that are ostensibly about immigration enforcement or something having to do with immigration. I mean, Trump's immigration agents have told at least 9 U.S. citizen lawyers, doctors, teachers that they had 1 week to get out of the country or else. U.S. citizens, where are they supposed to go? First, it was 2 U.S. citizen lawyers in Massachusetts that we learned about. Then next, we learned about a U.S. citizen doctor from Cromwell, Connecticut. A few days after that, we learned about a U.S. citizen lawyer in Utah. He got this letter saying, it's time for you to leave the United States. The federal government will find you. He's a U.S. citizen. The next day, we learned of a U.S. citizen lawyer in San Diego. Same threat. Then we learned about another U.S. citizen lawyer in Austin, Texas. The day after that, we got new reporting on a U.S. citizen lawyer in Houston, Texas. This guy is born in Connecticut. He's a lawyer working in Houston. The Trump administration comes to him and threatens him to get out of the country immediately or else. Where is he supposed to go? The day after that, we learned of another U.S. citizen lawyer in Los Angeles, told by the Trump administration to get out of the country immediately, with all the attendant threats. I mean, it just keeps happening. Here's another one reporting from Wisconsin Public Radio. Headline, the federal government will find you. Immigration officials wrongfully told a Fox Valley man to leave the United States. Department of Homeland Security told a retired college administrator to depart the United States immediately. The letter to this random retired college administrator and teacher, an American citizen born in Western Pennsylvania, tells him, quote, if you do not depart the United States immediately, you will be subject to potential law enforcement actions that will result in your removal from the United States. Do not attempt to remain in the United States. The federal government will find you. Please depart the United States immediately. Well, at least they said please in that one. Now, in some cases, reporters who have been following up on these bizarre cases where U.S. citizens are being told to get out of the country, in some cases, reporters following up on these cases have been told by the Trump administration that these threats were sent by mistake. But not in every instance, and not to everybody who has received these threats. I mean, we've had Trump's immigration agents try to arrest Puerto Ricans in Newark and in Philadelphia. People from Puerto Rico who, by definition, are U.S. citizens by birth. But apparently the Trump administration has not been able to figure that out, so they've been arresting people anyway. In Arizona this month, Trump's immigration agents arrested a U.S. citizen in Arizona, held him for 10 days in an immigration prison, even though he is a U.S. citizen. Leon County, Florida, a week and a half ago, they locked up another guy, U.S. citizen, initially would not let him go, even when his birth certificate showing his birth in the United States was handed over to the court. And now they have started sending U.S. citizen children out of the country, including one case Friday night in which the deeply conservative Trump-appointed judge in Louisiana who got the case said that he had a, quote, strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process. That judge, I got to tell you, in an extraordinary action, also himself personally tried to get the mother of that U.S. citizen child on the phone after Trump's immigration agents had flown her out of the country. The judge tried to get her on the phone himself so he personally could ask the mother whether or not what the Trump administration was saying about her and her child was true, since they offered him no proof at all, and he doesn't have to believe them when they offer no proof.
They're deporting U.S. citizens, kids with cancer. What more do we need to say about what is happening under this current administration? Donald Trump did not get the numbers that he wanted in terms of deportations in the first few weeks of his presidency. He was always coming up short on the goal. And so instead of now hitting the numbers, he wants to make the biggest and most disgusting public spectacle possible. And we have to call him out for it, not only because what he is doing is immoral, but as some Democrats only care about, it's politically smart. You know, we've seen Gavin Newsom or anonymous Democrats in Congress say, this is all a distraction. American citizens being deported, that's not a distraction. That's a constitutional crisis. That's a human rights violation. And we're certainly going to call it out on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.